Good morning and welcome back to Mona's Take. I'm your host Mona Rose and we are here to talk about everything reality TV. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything I have coming up. Remember to comment and share. Thank you for helping me grow my channel. I appreciate each and every one of you. Alright, we're going to get into the live feeds. This is probably going to be the longest video I've had so far. So I hope you guys hang till the end because there's a whole lot of information going around. Decisions going back and forth. We have our HOH winner. Right now, I have no idea where he stands because he keeps going back and forth. So, with that being said, let's jump right in. Right before the feeds cut, before we had everything on Wednesday night for the backyard, you see Alyssa crying and she is just, Kyle's just listening. And she's just talking. I'm mad at you that you lied to me. I'm mad at you that you chose them over me. I'm mad at you that when I needed you, you weren't with me, you were with them. I'm mad at you because you trusted them over me. And she's just going on and on. She's laying it on the line and she's crying and she's just saying everything she's angry about. And Kyle's just sitting there listening. And when it gets to the end, he's like, I don't even know what to say. And she said, you don't have to say anything. I just needed to get out how I was feeling. Because if not, it's going to fester and it's going to turn into a blow up. So I just needed to get it all out. He did eventually say he was sorry. I think that's probably going to be in the back of Alyssa's head. That she doesn't really know if she can fully trust him. She obviously is in love or infatuated or whatever you want to call it with him. So she's letting that cloud her vision, I think, as far as what's been going on. She's mad at Joesph. She's mad at all the other leftovers except for Turner and Kyle. Well, Turner and Kyle did the same thing to her that the rest of them did. Even Kyle did even more. Because he took her information back to them. So, I don't know where that's going to lead, but I see the next couple of weeks, if she stays in the house, kind of being dicey. Alright, as soon as the feeds came back on very quickly, Thursday night after eviction, I was actually shocked because I didn't think they would come back on until they played their HOH. But they did come on for a little while. And the first thing you see is Alyssa talking to Brittany. And Alyssa's sticking to the story of, you know, it was chaotic out there. We couldn't talk. We had no privacy. I thought Terrence was going to put me up, but then he said he wouldn't put me up. And he said he wouldn't put Turner up, but then he did. And, you know, I'm just trying to stay alive for the week, basically. None of the outsiders have led on to anything that was going on in the backyard. They have not let any of the leftovers know that they've been outed. Nothing. Taylor is pissed. She's asking Kyle about his veto comp. He's asking her about his. They're talking about Tiffany being on the screen. But you can clearly tell by her body language that she's hurt and pissed. Go back to the Brittany and Alyssa convo. And Alyssa's just talking about how hard it was in the backyard. She's asking Brittany questions about Jasmine and how it went and how she acted and what was said and all of that. And honestly, the insiders are giving out a whole lot more information to the remaining leftovers than vice versa. Michael joins the convo and Alyssa asks him what happened with Jasmine. Was she your target? Is that why you picked her first? And Michael's just saying, you know, she had so many alliances and it's not really the fact that she had other alliances, but it's the fact that she had all of these alliances with everybody in the house except for me and Turner, I think. He said, he's like, we're the only ones in the house she wasn't aligned with. So I couldn't trust anything she was saying. Now what's funny is the outsiders know everything about the leftovers now. So to me, by them sitting there saying, well, we voted her out because we just couldn't trust her because she was lying about the alliances, and we asked her if there was something bigger and she denied it and all this. So to me, they're playing holier than thou at the moment because Alyssa knows everything. They don't know that. If I'm Alyssa, it would be so hard for me to hold my tongue. Because I would be like, oh, so she's basically doing the same thing you're doing with the leftovers. But Alyssa didn't. She played along. She played clueless. Alyssa talks about the music in the backyard. She said it was brutal. They still have no idea why that was happening. So I honestly don't think anything was heard in the backyard. Monty and Turner are in the kitchen. They're playing Chinese checkers. And they only have a minute or a few seconds in between when everybody's walking in and out. And Turner tells Monty that Joesph turned himself into Pooch, that he pooched himself. And Monty was like, oh, so he started kind of losing it. And Turner's like, yeah, he just went on and on and on. Monty asked who he would put up. And he said somebody like Alyssa and Terrence. Or what? And he says he would put up Terrence and Alyssa. He said if someone wins the veto and if one of them wins the veto and comes down, we'll put one of ours up for a pawn, but we'll vote out the one that's still on the block. Monty says that Terrence has to be the one to go this week. Turner asked Monty if Taylor was okay. He knew she was close to Joesph. They really couldn't have a whole lot of conversation. Like I said, they were in the kitchen, so it was bits and pieces. But right now, it looks like the insiders are believing everything the outsiders are selling them. Terrence goes back to kind of isolating himself, being in the bed for a little while. At one point, he's in the kitchen with Taylor, and everybody else is in his room talking to Turner. But he eventually they clear out, and he eventually goes back to his room like nothing has happened. He's laying in his bed talking to the cameras. So, this is the spoiler part. If you do not want to know who won HOH, pause the video, come back and watch it after the episode Sunday night. Give everybody a few minutes. If you want to get out, now's the time to do so. Alright, our new HOH is Turner. Evidently, it was the tiny house competition, and it was between him and Kyle. Kyle was one can away twice, or I guess 3 times, because it was the last time whenever Turner won. But twice, Kyle was one away. And Turner was saying he really didn't want to win this HOH, but he didn't want anybody else on the other side to win it because he was afraid they were going to get put up. So he kept waiting, hoping someone from their side, the leftovers, would win it. And then he knows he would be good. So he finally won the competition. So this is where Turner's going to have to show his cards. Now, I don't know how I feel about this because I've gone back and forth. I honestly think that Turner said whatever he had to say in that backyard to make sure he survived the week to get back into the others. I think Turner wants to be leftover strong. As a matter of fact, he tells all the leftovers at different times while he's having his one-on-ones that he wants to get down to the final 6. And that he promised them everything under the moon in the backyard. He did what he had to stay, but those were just words, and he doesn't give a shit. He's sticking with the leftovers. So for the most part, that's the story that all the leftovers are getting. Kyle, Brittany, and Michael talk in the storage room, and it seems that they're buying everything. Kyle said that it's a good thing he had Alyssa on that side because it could have been him going home instead of Joesph if anybody else had been back there. Kyle is saying Joesph could have told Terrence everything about the leftovers, that he doesn't know if he did or not, but that it was real hard to communicate back there because they had no privacy. Sticking with the same story. Michael and Brittany are worried. Kyle leaves. Michael and Brittany are worried about this week. Taylor joins the convo, and she says they did what they had to do outside. It's just how the cards fell. They're not blaming Kyle, and they're not blaming Turner for Joesph going home. At least so far. Now, when they start talking to each other during the week, that might change. But right now, they're saying they had no choice. They did what they have to do. We can't blame them for doing what they had to do to stay in the game. But they don't know Kyle outed them. And Kyle, we'll get to that. We'll get to Kyle. Taylor is upset that she didn't get to say bye to Joesph. She said, I know it's a game. I know everybody has to go home. But the sucky part is I couldn't even tell him goodbye. She put something in his bag or something before he left. I don't know if it's before he went outside, or I don't know if they let him go in and pack before he left. I don't know any of that. I wouldn't think so, because I don't think he had time to pack. So I think they may be packing for him. But anyway, she said she put something in his bag from her. She said Turner is a great guy. He doesn't play cutthroat. You always know what he's thinking. Brittany and Taylor say it was the worst case scenario with Terrence winning the HOH and the veto, that they really didn't have a choice in what they did. They say they trust Turner and he'll do the right thing. Alyssa and Michael talk, and she asked him about what his thought process was when he was picking teams. And if he picked Jasmine first because that was his target. And he basically didn't tell her about the alliance, but he did say, yes, that's why I picked her first, because she was my target. The same thing. She had all these alliances. She was working with everybody but me, but continually telling me she had my back, she had my back. But yeah, she didn't have my back enough to bring me into an alliance. So that's why she had to go. Alyssa's eating it up. She knows it's all lies. Kyle and Terrence talk just for a brief second in the car room. And they talk about how everybody's asking questions, but they ain't giving up anything. They're letting the story ride, and it seems like everybody's buying it, and everything's okay. Turner gets his HOH room. They do the letter. They see what all he's got. They actually hooked him up this week. He got a lot of stuff. But they go through all of that. And then he's like, okay, it's late. Because it was like 2:30 in the morning when he got his room. He's like, all right, it's late. If you guys want to talk, I'm up for a little bit. But it's going to be quick. And everybody's like, oh, yeah, we want to talk. It's like, all right, we'll do one-on-ones. But I'm telling you now, I'm herding y'all through here like a bunch of cattle because I want to go to bed. He said he hadn't any sleep in almost 24 hours. Turner starts out asking to talk to Kyle. And he tells Kyle, you're my final two, so I need you in here so you can tell me what to do. He said, I've got so many thoughts running through my head. And he said, I really don't know what to do, so I need your opinion. And he says, Monty came up to me in the bathroom and asked me if the pound was still good, which would be Kyle, Monty, and Turner. Yeah, because now Joesph is gone. So, asked if it was still good. Said, yeah, so he feels good that Monty's still wanting to go further with them. He said, tell me if I'm crazy, but these people kept us safe for weeks, and I'm thinking we ride that out for another 2 weeks because we have 2 people on our side that are not good at comps versus 4 powerhouses on the other side of the leftovers. Like, tell me if I'm crazy. He said, yeah, we made promises out there to stay alive, but do we honor them? Kyle said, yeah, but if you put up 2 of them and say Michael and Brittany, and then we vote one out, And he goes right for the jugular for Michael. He is after Michael. Turner said he needed Kyle to be in the room first because his head was all over the place. Like I said, sorry, I already said that. And he said, do we stick with the old or do we go with the new? Kyle tells Turner that Michael and Brittany are digging, trying to figure out what happened in the backyard, that they're pushing to get information. And it's just Kyle's like pushing very hard for Michael. Turner said, why would we stick with two that don't win comps? And Kyle said, Joesph told me that Michael and Brittany are working both sides of the house. I felt like Michael would have kept me safe over Taylor and Monty when he did the pick, but he didn't do it. So now I know that he doesn't care if I'm safe or not. He said he picked Monty over me. Turner said he had to or Monty was going home. Turner's thinking correctly, but he's letting people get in his head and cloud his thoughts. And I think that's going to be a problem this week. If Michael can get through this week, I think he's golden. Because he'll be able to play in every single veto, regardless of whether he has HOH or not. So I think in that aspect, if he can get through this week, he'll be great. I don't think he's going to get through this week. I think that Kyle is going to be so in Turner's head that it's Michael and Brittany on the block. We'll see today when the nominations come out, but that's kind of what I'm figuring at this point. Turner says, is there a question or something that I can ask to figure out where everybody's head's at? And Kyle said, yeah, the first question you asked is, what's your best case scenario? What would you like to see happen this week? And then Turner said, when it comes down to 2 weeks from now, what would you do? So he's planning on asking the leftovers. 2 weeks from now, when we're down to 6, am I going to be the sixth person voted out? He said, that's what I'm afraid of. So he's basically asking them if he's on the bottom of the pack. And of course they're telling him no, because they're going to tell him what they need to tell him. It's his HOH. And he hasn't made nominations yet. Kyle is pushing really hard to stick with the after party and go after the other side of the house. Turner says, Alyssa and Terrence are not good at comps. And Kyle said, yeah, but if we take a shot at Michael, then we can get Monty to come over with us. Turner said he's definitely going to tell Monty what Joesph said. Evidently, Joesph told him in the backyard that Michael, Brittany, and Taylor had a final 3, and that they tried to pull him in for a final 4. So he convinced them outside, supposedly, like I said, we didn't have the feeds, but he convinced them that those 4 had a final 4. And he said, now that I'm gone, they're going to pull Monty in, and they've had a whole week to talk to him in there. Joesph wasn't wrong. That's what they did. I honestly think Kyle's going to run this HOH. I think Joesph ran his first HOH pretty much. And by running, I just mean stay in his head and keep saying what you would do. Because he changes, he flip-flops, he goes back and forth. Like I said, I think in his mind, by listening to this conversation with Kyle, he wants to do the right thing. He wants to stick with 6. He thinks that's the right way to go. But I think Kyle is going to be overpowering. I think that he's going to get his wish this week. He's not good at strategizing. He's good at comps. He's got a good social game. But Turner's not good at strategizing. And I think it's because he doesn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I don't know. Turner said, I was seeing how bad that Alyssa was at the comp tonight. He said she was doing horrible. And there's no way I can put my faith in that. Honestly, I wouldn't put my faith in Alyssa winning anything. He said he loves her, but he would be glad if she went this week because it would be him taking her out of the house instead of Kyle. It would be off Kyle's back, everybody else would get off his back about Kyle and Melissa. Kyle said, well, which way are you leaning? And Turner said, I'm actually in the middle, dude. I don't freaking know. He said, if I were to lean towards something, even if it was that we could get money to jump to our side, putting my faith in Alyssa and Terrence is just crazy. It can't be just those two. Because they're not good. It would be like us having to carry them every week. And Kyle said, I just don't think we can get back in with Michael and Brittany and Taylor at this point. And Turner says, how do you feel about Michael and Brittany? And Kyle said he doesn't feel good about them playing the middle. He says they wouldn't pick Taylor over us any day. Turner said, I really trust Brittany more than I trust anyone. And there was a brief moment when they first come back in the house, and I don't know if we'll get any more information on it. But Brittany went in to congratulate Turner and talk to Turner. And she asked him, she said, did you do a sponsorship for someone and they did photos of you and you had all blonde hair and it had the Rug Shack? And he said, yeah, how did you know that? And she said, well, I can't tell you right now. So I don't know where Brittany's from, if she's from that same area. I have to find that out now. But that's all that was said. So I'm wondering if Brittany, and this is out there, this is tinfoil hat, I'm wondering if Brittany and Turner know each other or have come across each other. I don't know. We'll see if that ever comes out. But I just thought, it got me to thinking. Conspiracy theories away. Kyle said, if we don't take Michael out, he's going to win his way through with HOHs and veto. And that's true. If Michael makes it through this week, I think he's golden. Unless he loses a comp. And that's very well possible. But so far he hasn't. So far he hasn't lost one that he was able to play in, I don't think. I don't think he has. I have to look back. But he's right. If Michael gets past this week, when they're down to 7, there's going to be an HOH, which will probably be him. So at 6, he can't compete, but he can still compete in the veto. So I think if he gets past this week, Michael's going to be in the final 2 chairs. Unless there's a blind side of some sort. I don't even know how it would happen. But I honestly think that if they do not get him out this week, he's going to be final 2. And I'm not mad about that. I like Michael. Kyle says we can't take a shot at Alyssa and Terrence because they're numbers for us. And he's like, we've got to think about us having numbers. There are numbers on our side. We cannot get rid of them because the other side is going to take us out as soon as we get to 6. You and I will be on the block. Terrence comes in for a brief moment before he goes to bed. And he tells Turner the whole time they were playing the comp that Michael was saying, come on, Monty, you got to win this money. If that's the case, a sloppy Michael, especially with Terrence standing right there. He says his piece, you got to go after Michael and Monty, one of them, whatever, he leaves. Like I said, he didn't get this room till 2:30, so he probably started the one-on-ones about 3. So he's just trying to go to bed. Turner talks to Brittany and says that he's putting up Alyssa and Terrence and that he wants the leftovers to stay strong. Wants them to make it to the final 6. That he said a bunch of stuff outside, but he just said that because he had to make it back in. He didn't mean it. He promised them safety, but he didn't mean it. He tells Brittany that he trusts her more than anybody in the leftovers group. And she tells him, it wouldn't matter. He said, which one would you want to see go? Brittany says it doesn't matter as long as it's one of the two, Alyssa or Terrence, and then next week we get out the other one, and then we're leftovers strong. She said, I just want to see it get to the leftovers at 6, and then we'll fight it out. Turner and Monty talk, and he comes right out and asks him, he said, dude, Joesph told me that Taylor approached him with the Final Four with Joesph, Taylor, Michael, and Brittany. And he said, now that Joseph's gone, I don't know if they're going to try to pull you in, but have you heard anything about that? And Monty says, I'm going to break it down for you. I'm going to be honest with you. I'll give you everything. He said, we're going to start back at the pool table conversation. He said, when we were trying to get Kyle to use the veto, and we were all standing around the pool table, and Brittany and Michael said nothing. Now, they went to Kyle, and they told Kyle they didn't want Alyssa to go home. They went to Taylor and said they wanted Alyssa to go home because that's what she was wanting. So it was like they were telling both of them what they wanted to hear. And when it came time, and all 7 of them were in a group, the only ones that spoke was Taylor, Joesph, Monty, and Turner, and Kyle. Brittany and Michael, nothing. They even asked Michael at one point what he thought. And he was like, I'm on the fence, I can see both sides, whatever. So Monty started with that conversation. And it was true. Everything Monty said tonight was true. I can say that before I finish with Monty's conversation. Monty says that this week, Brittany, Michael, and Taylor talked about Kyle not using the veto and choosing Alyssa over the alliance. And he said, I don't feel like he's choosing Alyssa over the alliance. I think if it comes down to it, he'll do the right thing. He said that they talked about Kyle and Turner being the first ones to go out of the 7 because they thought Joesph was coming back in. Monty said Michael and Brittany are playing both sides. He promises that he had nothing with them this week. He said they approached me. They did approach me about a Final Four. Turner asked Monty what he would do. This is the best plan that I've heard so far. And it makes sense. I think I said it earlier, but that plan came from Monty. Monty said Terrence should go this week because he's starting to win competitions. We've got a lot of mental competitions coming up, and I think he's going to do well at that. So he says, I think we should ride this out for the next 2 weeks down to the 6th. He said Michael will probably win HOH next week because he wins everything all the time. So therefore, he wouldn't be eligible to play in the 6th HOH. And they could get him out then. But he will be able to play in the veto. That's the one thing they're not thinking about. Or Monty's not thinking about. Turner said, and he said that when, we got a better chance of winning that HOH because it would be Kyle, Monty, Turner, and then the 2 girls, Taylor and Brittany. So they're saying they would have a better chance at winning HOH that week. And then they could put him out. Turner said, yeah, if I take out Alyssa this week, they'll get off my ass about this whole showman stuff. He said, I've made a lot of promises out there to stay alive. But that's all words. I don't give a shit about it. It is what it is. I had to do what I had to do out there to get back in here. But I'm leftover strong. I'm hoping and praying, which it probably won't happen because I am hoping for it. But I'm hoping that Taylor goes with Monty's plan. I just want Michael to last one more week. Just one more week. And the reason I like Michael so well is he is a super fan, and he doesn't, looking at him, you wouldn't think he's a big physical threat over some of the other guys in the house. But he can win. He knows these competitions back and forth. He can win these comps. And I like seeing that. I like seeing the strategy that he uses, although that might bite him in the butt this week. But I'm just praying that he lasts this week. I don't think he will. Turner talks to Michael. He tells him the same thing that he's told everybody else. Turner said he doesn't care what order they go in as long as somebody goes that's not a leftover. And they get to the final 6. Michael agrees. The last conversation of the night was between Taylor and Turner. By this time, it's 4:30 in the morning. I went to bed and caught up this morning. I couldn't hang with them. Turner tells Taylor that he hopes he didn't over-advocate for Alyssa whenever she was wanting to put her out. That, that's just his friend, and if you choose between Indy and Alyssa, Indy doesn't like me, she would vote me out, so yeah, I'm going to want to keep Alyssa. Taylor said, did Terrence give you any reason for putting you up? Because I really thought, that y'all were tight. Did he tell you why he did that? And Turner said he wanted to pit the boys against each other and get as much information as he could for the week. He keeps telling everybody, and I forgot that earlier, but he says, look, I'm going to do this. I'm going to put up Alyssa and Terrence after I promised them safety. But I'm just telling you, I'm losing 2 jury votes right here when I do this. So do not vote me out when we get down to 6. He's told all of them that. And they all promised him, of course, that's not going to happen. And I honestly don't think it would. I think the first one they would go after would be Kyle. Taylor says, what did you say to them when they came up here tonight for their one-on-one? And she's asking a lot of questions. Brittany's asking a lot of questions. The guys are going in and just listening and giving Turner whatever information he wants. Whereas the girls seem more like they're digging. So if he were to try to go after Michael this week, I see him putting up Brittany and Taylor and then backdooring Michael, which will suck, but that's one of the possibilities. She says that she doesn't care which one of them go home. And she said, I know you have a reason to send Terrence home because he put you on the block, just like I had a reason to send Alyssa home last week. So whichever way you decide to go, that's what we'll do, because it doesn't matter to me. Taylor said they're both on the block on Thursday night. Everybody can just vote individually on who they think will be beneficial to their own game. In other words, we're not going to have a unanimous vote, whatever. Everybody vote the way you want to vote. No one's going to influence that. I think she said that because that way she could vote for Terrence to stay. Because the same thing that she had with Jasmine, she doesn't want to vote him out. Alright, so it's like 5:30 in the morning. And he gets through with all his one-on-ones. Everybody heads off to bed. Except for Taylor. She stays in the bathroom for a little bit. Just laying there. And you can tell she's thinking about Joesph. She almost started crying a couple times. But she pulled it back together. And you could clearly tell she was talking about Joesph. Do I think that Turner will go with Monty or Kyle's plan? I think if enough of the leftovers are in his ear as much as Kyle is, it's a 50-50 chance. But if they leave him alone and it's Kyle that's in his ear constantly, because that's going to be the catalyst. If he does not get Kyle out, if they don't get Kyle out of Turner's ear, then it's going to very well be one of them. And I thought, okay, this is our last conversation. I'm caught up. I can go do my video. I'm fast forwarding. They slept for 2 hours. And Kyle was in Turner's room. It's like 7:30 in the morning. He's had 2 hours sleep. And he's still in bed, just half asleep. The lights are still off. Kyle's standing there talking to him. And he said something about them having a lockdown at 8 o'clock. He doesn't know why they're doing that. I'm sure they're probably doing maintenance. I think that there may be something in the have-not room that they have to do. They may be moving the table Because it's about time for the big table to go away and the smaller one to come in. Just to signify how far they've come in the game. But he starts in right away about Michael. He said, dude, I think Michael knows about the pound. He's been asking me questions. I think he knows about us. I think he's going to come after us. Yeah, he knows about the pound because Kyle told him about it. Kyle told him about that a week or two ago. Told Michael, look at who started the alliance. Look at who was in the room when it was formed. That's who's sticking together. If you remember, he told Michael and Brittany that last week or the week before we talked about it. He was like, think about who formed this and who's always together. Kyle told Michael about it. So don't act like now. And I know I'm getting upset. And I know I have to remind myself it's a game, it's a game, it's a game. Self-survival. But I do not want to see Michael go. I feel like Michael, like a lot of you felt about Joesph. I would love to see him win this game. He said he's asking a lot of questions. He's not dumb. He's going to figure it out. And he knows he's coming after them. And Turner said, we have two plans. We have yours and we have Monty's. But Monty's end game was hopeful. And Kyle said, what did he say? And so Turner started telling him, he started telling him Monty's plan about the getting down to the 6 and how it would go and all that. And Kyle said, Michael has talked to me about taking big shots before the final 7. He's not waiting till the final 7. No, Kyle talked to Michael about taking big shots before the 7. That's what he's been trying to get Turner to do for 3 weeks. He's tried to get Turner to flip on them for 3 weeks, and Turner's like, oh no, we're leftover strong. Nobody's going to do that. Nobody's going to come after. We're all good. All of this. But now Kyle is saying everything that he told Michael, he's saying Michael told him. If I were Turner, like I said, he's had 2 hours sleep, remember. He's laying in the bed, he's half asleep. But if I was Turner, I would be like, if we're supposed to be in the final 2, which him and Kyle are, and you have all this information about Michael, why am I just now hearing about it? If this stuff happened weeks ago, why are you just telling me about it? And it's not like he's acting like it just happened. He's telling him, you remember 2 weeks ago when so-and-so was on the block and Michael wanted to do this? So Kyle is telling him everything that he wanted to do and say Michael did it. But that would be my thought, was like, why? Why am I just hearing this? Do I trust this information? I would be skeptical. I would do a lot of fact checking. And honestly, if it were me, I'd pull all 6 of us in a room. All right, I'm tired of this he said, she said. We're going to all get in a room and we're going to work this out and we're going to figure out who's lying. And I would turn that shit around on Kyle like that. Don't play. But Turner doesn't think strategically, like I said. Kyle said, if you put up Alyssa and Terrence, everything is coming out that happened in the backyard. And you and I are going to be public enemy number 1. He's already told all the leftovers. I said a bunch of shit out there in that backyard. I said whatever I had to say to get back into this house. It don't mean anything. It's words. I made a lot of promises. I promised safety. I did this. I did that. He didn't tell him about the alliance that was supposedly formed. But he did tell him about everything else. They don't know that Terrence knows about the leftovers, so I guess he didn't tell him everything. But he did say, I said a lot of things. I said what I had to do. Did what I had to do out there. That's not going to come as a surprise to any of them, I don't think. And Kyle says, but they're going to come after you right away when they find that out. He said, everything from this week will come out and we're toast. He said, that's going to make me public enemy number one. Everybody in the house is going to be coming after me. And Turner said, like I said, he's still half asleep. He's laying in the bed. And he said, it's not a good idea for me to put up Alyssa and Turner this week. I don't think so. I don't think it's a good idea. So I went to bed hopeful, thinking, okay, he's going to go after Alyssa and Terrence, and the six are going to stay strong. I don't think so. Like I said, if Kyle stays in his freaking ear this week, you're going to see a combination of either Taylor and Brittany on the block and Michael as a back door, or Michael and Brittany on the block and let him fight for the veto. I don't think Turner would let him fight for the veto if that were the case. So I honestly think it's going to be Brittany and Taylor on the block today. We will find out. So I know that's a lot. If you actually stuck with me to the end, thank you very much. But it was a lot of information coming back in and getting them back together. But that's where we are now. They'll do the nominations sometime today. I'll see you guys tomorrow with the nominations. I want to thank each and every one of you for sharing and commenting and liking and giving me all this suggestions on what to do to make my channel grow. Shout out to Nikki. You are the best. You've come up with all kinds of ideas for me, and I am working on them. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. As always, have a great day and much love.